Welcome to Horror Movie Survival Guide, Disco Citizens, the podcast where gorehounds
and best friends Teri Gamble
and Julia Marchese break down a different horror movie each week,
exploring a multitude of genres, subgenres,
and sub-subgenres,
classic and cult,
international
and underground flicks alike, determining which films are the goriest,
and offering up Horror Movie Survival Guide tips
to help you stay alive.
And say, Teri, we do have a special guest today that we're very excited to talk to.
So excited. And oh my goodness, you guys, this movie is going to blow your mind. It's like everything I love of like folk horror goodness and madness and just like Dev Patel. I'm sorry. Ooh, okay.
Okay, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it.
Well cast, I will say.
So let's introduce the writer and director of Rabbit Trap, Bryn Chainey. Hi, Bryn.
Hi, Bryn.
Julia.
Welcome to our show. Oh,
Thanks
we're so
for
happy to
having
have
me.
you here.
Oh. Well, I guess, we do like
I
to
love
sort of
this, Teri. I don't know if people are watching or listening, but like Teri has the most amazing big smile right now. Like this is what a lovely thing to be greeted with.
Oh my God, I'm just excited. Like you made this beautiful film and we get to chat with your sweet face. Like what a dream come true. Like how cool is this? So
That's nice.
Julia, yes, we got to start at the beginning. Where did you fall in love with this madness? Tell us about
Yes.
when did you fall in love with horror?
Me?
Yes, you.
Oof. I mean, I think my first love was folklore and fantasy, fairy tales. I mean, I some of the very first books I read were these illustrated books about fairies and goblins and trolls, and I read them, or they were read to me at a time, that time when you're a kid where the rational kind of the real physical world is still being defined in your brain, and so the imaginative world is just as real, and your brain is negotiating the boundary. And those books went in at that crucial time. So for me, I cannot go into the woods without kind of or looking out for the fairies or goblins. Or I see mountains and I see trolls. It's just like they are totally entwined for me, and it's always affected my relationship to nature as well. I've always seen nature as conscious on some level, that it's not just this place we go, but it's a place that's reflective of what happens inside of us, and it's all one and the same. And
oh, well, that's so lovely.
And I think horror and fantasy, I've always gravitated towards those genres for books and movies, is because I think these are the genres that best articulate that. That they reflect a universe where everything is conscious and connected. You can take the feeling you get when you look at a mountain that is both terrifying and alluring, and you can manifest that in a creature that draws you in and also strikes fear through your bones, and it's and that for me is what is the power of fantasy and horror, and that's really my way into the whole genre. It wasn't like watching Candyman when I was 10 is what did it, although that did fuck me up. It took me
a
like,
lot of us.
It took like a month to finish that movie, and I'm still afraid of mirrors, particularly at night time. I cannot do mirrors at night. So there are certain films that definitely put the bug in me, but what remains, the goal for me is to use genre as a tool for expressing kind of the way that I see the natural world as a world that is where the psychological and the geographical or the physical, they're kind of entwined and reflective of each other. Hippie shit, man.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
thanks.
I think it's beautiful that you've kept that through your whole adult life. I think a lot of people kind of forget that there is something magical about nature. I think it's wonderful that you've kept that feeling. And so how did this tie into this film? This comes straight out of that, I can tell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it does. So I don't know if you're going to explain to listeners beforehand like what this movie is. Would
you like to give it from the horse's mouth?
Yeah.
I then back myself into a corner because it's this thing I hate doing. If I could explain what this movie was in a paragraph, then I wouldn't have to make a movie. You know, you
Right.
make the
You're
movie
so
to
David Lynch. I saw your little, I was like looking at, I was like, yes, that's very that. He's like, just watch the movie. Like when he didn't
yeah,
want to
okay.
answer questions sometimes too.
Right,
I
okay,
get
yeah,
it. It's
totally.
that.
So, yeah, I will try.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a mm, should I give a synopsis or what? I just
Sure.
tell people
Whatever
about what
you
it.
like, whatever you want to share with the people or what you want them to have before they
Mhm.
watch the film.
Okay. Well, I mean, the one thing to say is I think there are some horror elements in this movie, but it doesn't. I wouldn't primarily call it a horror film. I would
Mhm.
I would say it's a modern fairy tale, or a dark fairy tale of some kind, and it's about a couple who are musicians and they're in crisis, and they are living in the Welsh countryside, far away from anyone, and one of our characters, Darcy, who's played by Dev Patel, stumbles upon a strange sound emanating from a ring of mushrooms deep in the woods. And from that moment where the sound comes into his body and then comes into his home through the recording he takes of it, um, from that moment he and his wife are led into a strange world of like fairy psychedelia, and they have to now deal with a child that shows up at their door because this child is somehow connected to the fairy forces. Um, Overall, I think it's not really a film about that tries to scare people. I think I just want people to know if you go in looking for like jump scares or to be really freaked out and horrified, you're gonna hate it because it's a movie of small, subtle gestures and reflective passages, and it's pretty dreamy and kind of it's for the really sensitive and kind of navel gazy ones among us. Right?
The lovers of art house, and this is what we have, right? You say
Yeah,
fair
I hope so.
psychedelia, I say hell yeah. That sounds
Yeah, cool.
amazing,
Yeah,
right?
that's
I hope so.
literally Julia's genre. If you could
Oh
describe
yeah.
a genre that Julia like she writes in that genre as well. She's
Oh,
got a
beautiful.
script that's kind of that right now. So
Cool.
I was just like, yep, watching this
Yeah.
movie, I was like, yep, you all need to hang out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's you sometimes you find your people, and this is a great way. I was like, oh yes, we found some more
Oh,
people
amazing.
because we love also like Don't Look Now is like one of our favorite
The
films
best.
too.
Oh man,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
watching this at the beginning, I didn't read about you till after. We usually go in cold when we watch a film. So I watched your
Mm.
film. I didn't read anything about it. I didn't like look at anything. And then as I was watching partway through, I was like, I'm gonna look up a little bit, just a little as I'm watching. And
Where's this guy? What is he doing to
I
me?
was like, what's the deal? What's the deal? What am I? I was like, I see you. I see you. Strange child. I was like, who's this child? Who's this kid? What's going on? And I was like, yes,
Yeah.
it's that thing of our like you said about our reality meshing with our imaginations, but what we feel sometimes manifest in different ways, and sometimes it's
Mm.
the strangest dreams that we have that are
Yeah.
while we're awake.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I
Well,
think yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Don't Look Now. I think like
Hmm.
that was a big reference. Oh, I think has our call frozen?
It
oh, we
was for
gotcha.
2 seconds. It's okay. Between
Do you see us?
Romania and Hollywood
Okay, cool. Okay.
and North Hollywood, it's a lot going on.
Yeah, it is a lot. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I agree. Like, Don't Look Now. Nic Roeg's work in general was a big influence on me. I think Don't Look Now is an amazing movie, and there were some other horror films that were influences. Like Robert Altman did like a psychological horror film called Images,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
was a big influence on this. That's really about a woman in the countryside who is having a kind of a schizophrenic break that helps her connect the dots between the various terrible men that she's dated in her life. It's great. It's a great film, Images, with just amazing cinematography. So that was an influence on the film. And there are some others you probably don't want to talk about influences. You want to hear about.
Well,
What do you want to
I
hear
want to
about?
hear I want to hear about what you want to talk about. This is the whole point, right? We interview you to get your thoughts on this film. But I would like to ask about the sound element
Mm,
Oh
specifically,
my
because
gosh.
to
Oh.
have a film that is centered around sound is
mm.
always super fun and super cool. I think of Blowout when I think of
Yeah.
movies that are it was so, and it just makes you think about the horror in a different way. And now this movie is coming out in theaters on September 12th, so I would imagine seeing it in a theater surrounded
With the
by this
surround
noise.
sound. Oh.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Like, I've always been very sound orientated, and I've loved sound in movies. And as much as the visuals are important in a film, I think we've given it such a place, such a like a the hierarchy of the senses is a little janky in movies, and I would love to see a bit that shaken up a little bit, because right now we prioritize the images so much that we even say, oh, I watched this movie. I can't wait to watch it in theaters. You know, what have you seen lately? How was your viewing experience? You know, we don't go, oh, what have you heard lately? What was your sonic experience? Oh, I heard about this movie. How was it? Oh, the sound was great. So it was a challenge for us to make a film where you could, I don't know, like if you closed your eyes, you would still feel things. You would still be unsettled, or you'd be drawn into an imaginative world just through your ears. And I thought, not that there's anything in this film that's particularly visually scary, but I remember when writing, I thought, wow, in movies, I look around in theatre and people, they get overwhelmed, they cover their eyes, but they don't cover their ears. And that's how you could get them. That's how you get them. That's how you get them. Not that I'm trying to get anyone, you know, but I think the ears are so strange and mystical. Like sound is just the closest thing to the invisible realm that we have access to, because it is an invisible realm, and sound actually goes inside of us. You know, an image, you look at it and it's outside, but a sound, you hear it because it's entered your body and vibrated in your eardrum,
Vibrations, baby.
and then it moves through your body. Vibrations, baby. Yeah, and for me, in a film about the unconscious realm, you know, things that we bury and that want to come out, there's nothing better than sound to articulate that or to explore that. So that's partly why the film is so much about sound.
Well, even the
Second
sound
reason,
of like Dev eating whatever at the end of the bed, whatever he's eating, and the sound of the ooze, like every little piece, like even if you weren't seeing that and you were hearing that, you would wonder what the heck is
yeah,
he experiencing in those
yes,
moments. I just
yeah. So I really hope
kudos.
to, yeah, I'm excited for anyone who gets to listen to the film in a cinema with good sound,
Yes.
and I just encourage people to watch the movie with their ears as much as possible, because we've also, it's really a movie about listening and things that we say and the things we don't say, and the things we listen within ourselves and to each other. And so please go in with your ears, you know? And
Yeah, so even if you do watch at home, you put some headphones on and then you're going to get the full mix right
oh,
in
for
your
sure.
skull.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. It's a much better film with the sound loud and good. So do what you can.
Loud and good, kids. Louder, gooder. Yes.
Louder and gooder. Those are yeah, those are technical terms. You know, that's when I go into the sound mix. They're like,
That's
what do
what
you
I
want,
tell the
Chief?
guy
I want it
every
louder. I
time.
want it gooder.
Well, would you talk to us a little bit about how this movie got off the ground and getting into the casting process as well?
Yeah, sure. So I worked on it alone for a long time. I mean, I started writing it in about 2017, maybe even earlier than that. And first of all, I spent time just piecing together the characters and the story and the world of it, bringing together the elements I wanted to explore and connect. It's not a very linear film. It doesn't really have, it wasn't constructed and written in a linear way. It kind of coagulated like goo coming together. And when I was ready to write the script, pandemic hit, and I found myself living deep in the countryside in England, in a cottage not that dissimilar to the one in the film. And it was during that time that I managed to get a pitch deck to the producers that I wanted to work with, who are Spectivision, who have made some of my
Yes.
favorite horror films, like
We're big fans of
Agreed.
them too. We love
Girl Walks
them.
Home Alone at Night, Mandy, Cooties,
Yes.
Colorado Space. These guys are great. That's Elijah Wood's
I was gonna
production.
say this would be a good, yes, we know a good double feature with Color Out of Space, because I was like color versus sound. I
Yeah,
was actually notes I wrote while I was watching this.
yeah, cool. Yeah, that would be a good double feature. I mean,
Yeah.
it was so I knew I really wanted to get the film to them, because at the time of writing the film, I didn't have an agent and I was deeply unemployed and didn't really have any kind of connections in the film industry beyond my friends who were all at the same level as me, making short films. And then I watched Colorado Space. It played one night in Sydney, where I'd been living at the time, and I recognized. I also watched the credits like a hawk. Like, do I know anyone? Do I know anyone? And a friend's name popped up in the credits. So as a kind of production services manager or assistant, and so I wrote to him that night. I was like, "Hey, was that you? Did you work on Colorado Space?" And it turns out he had during the Portugal element of the shoot. Anyway, he said Spectivision are lovely, and actually a friend of mine works with them more regularly. I think we can slip her through her. We can slip them your project. It took us about a year to get that to happen, and and that was in 2020. So finally managed to get a pitch deck to Spectrovision at a very strategic moment where I found out that they were in between projects and they were looking. So it was like the right moment. And I got my friend sent me a text a few hours later. Like it was a screenshot from Elijah Wood saying, "Holy shit, this is amazing. Who is this guy?" You know, I was like, "Oh my god, it's happening.
Wow.
Maybe it's going to happen after all."
He's
So
the
anyway,
best. He's such a sweetie.
he's the best.
What a
So
champion.
he's super genuine. It's not an act.
Yep.
And
The champion.
an absolute champion of weirdos and anyone who
Yep.
has some, yeah. So they came on first. That was in 2020, and we worked on the script together. Like they gave me notes, and we tried
Oh, neat.
different things. And then we went out to try to get some money. Maybe 18 months later. So that was around 2022, 2021. And we always intended it to be a very small movie that we were going to shoot during lockdown, because it was really just 3 characters in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. So, and it was written to be a very tiny, low budget, quick film. And so we financed it that way. We got a little bit of money together to do a low budget film in Wales. And then we started preparing. And I was asked to put together a list of cast I was interested in. I was like, can we do some big swings first? And everyone said, yeah, let's take some big swings. So after seeing The Green Knight, I thought Dev Patel would be just a great choice. He's got such I think his eyes really show you that there is a vulnerable, scared boy in there. I hope that isn't speaking out of turn, but like there's that's what I see in his eyes. I see like someone who's got a lot of sensitivity and is kind of, in a way, trapped in this big man's body, because he's a very strapping, tall, handsome man.
Oh man, I saw Monkey Man. We know. We know.
Yeah.
Lion is but for that vulnerability though, when he's
beautiful.
He's
yeah.
got those eyes for sure.
He's got those eyes. They're talking about the eyes, and also like he was willing. Obviously, from doing The Green Knight, I thought, okay, he's willing to try some more risky material. Maybe he's up for something even weirder than The Green Knight. So we sent him the script. Well, sent his agent the script, and I didn't expect much. But then 48 hours later, they said he's read it, he loves it, he wants to meet tomorrow.
Wow, so, the stuff of dreams.
Stuff of dreams, you know. And I had a full-time job at the time on the other side of England, and I was like, I can't.
You got there though, right? How'd you get there?
Of course I got there. Yeah. I took a bus. I got there, and then we had a coffee, and we spoke it was a pretty quick meeting. We just spoke about folklore and myth and nature. He's a big nature lover like me, and I gave him a copy of the book I had as a kid about fairies and goblins, and so he was flicking through it and seeing what I mean by fairies, which is not the Tinkerbell and things. It's
not the traditional Tinkerbell or anything like that.
No, it's more like kind of the beauty of ugly bits of nature, you know, and like little cantankerous goblin people, you know. And anyway, he got it. He flicked through it and was like, I'm in, you know. He was willing to take a risk on a first-time filmmaker, low-budget movie with a film that's pretty fucking weird. Structurally, doesn't do what most people would expect or want or like, but he was willing to give it a try, you know. And that was it, really. So it's a bit of a fluke, really.
I love that so much. Sometimes, like you said, sometimes you find your weirdos and it lines up, like, you know, one of those things. I've been like going down the rabbit hole of like fairies and bogs and things like that, because I listen to the Blind Boy podcast and he talks about a lot of that folklore like within that area, and I've just been like, so watching this after listening to a lot of that this summer, I was like, nice. This is what I imagine these fairies look like. So you've really, I think, captured the real oral traditions and folklore and the stories that have really been passed down really in a modern kind of lens, even though it's retro modern, which I also love, because that room with that sound equipment, Julia, I'm sure
I know.
we were
That's
both
all
dying.
Are you musicians? Did you?
As Luddites of Hollywood.
No, we just like old electronic equipment is, you know, beautiful.
Well, I mean, I'm glad that you said it. I just want to, something you mentioned about, you think the film does manage to capture something of the oral tradition of folklore. And I think I really appreciate that you recognize that that's what the film's going for, because it does operate on a slightly different narrative trajectory to movies. I tried to write something that is like a movie, but then it veers and slowly, or very slowly, veers more into fable or fairy tale territory. So
Mhm.
that's something that I just really hope more and more people can recognize as a. I mean, there are more options for how a narrative can play out. Things don't have to set up and pay off in the same way every time. That
Sure.
sometimes you can go somewhere else.
And I think that your true audience will find that and will love that. And that will be the part of, the uniqueness of the film is what makes it
Mm.
wonderful. And I think it makes it unique. Now I have to ask, when you're in a forest and you do see a mushroom ring, do you
Yeah.
step in the middle of
No,
them?
fuck no.
No,
No, never.
no, never.
No, 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 no,
Okay.
no, no, no.
You should
Taboos.
absolutely
Don't do
never,
that.
Julia. Just FYI.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
if I go into the lore, I can we can talk offline about this, but it is not. Well,
Bad things can happen. Well,
things
actually,
Okay.
can
I mean,
happen, but often it's like a convergence of things too, because even back in the day, like cows naturally can make anthrax, and there were like a lot of like old burial grounds, and often they would be surrounded by things like that.
mhm,
So you really don't want to go in there because sometimes it's a contamination site from like 1,000 years ago.
Interesting.
in more ways than one.
FYI.
I love that. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. I mean, I think you're great. I mean, that's I love that kind of when you research into a folk like a superstition, you usually find some sort of real world underpinning that started it. Like this is a contamination site, or fairy rings are potentially sites where people would go and pick mushrooms and eat them, but then you'd pick the wrong ones and you'd have a psychedelic experience. So, you start to connect fairy rings with psychedelic experiences, equaling fairies. Like I don't want to explain away all the magic, but it's like endlessly interesting for me.
And how has it been for you to now you're at a part, your film's coming out, your dream from 2017, like it's
Mm.
so you fast forward to now and here it is. And how does it feel to have this, your first feature debut coming out, Spectrovision in the theaters, the whole nonsense?
I mean, honestly, it's like it's a relief. It feels more like a relief, after all this work.
Yeah.
I'm not personally that capable of celebrating milestones. I'm really bad at it. I'm like slowly getting there by barking them. Going, okay, this has happened. This is good. This is what I wanted, right? Um, but it's also, I mean, honestly, if you want the honest answer as a filmmaker, it's also been a very up and down experience. So,
Mhm.
along with every one person that has come up to me or written and said that this movie really touched them and it spoke to something deep inside of them, or even just saying thank you for doing something different and strange and taking
Mhm.
us to a new place. For every one person like that, I've got maybe two people who are like, this makes no sense. I hate you. You know, and that
I would count those as wins too, Bryn. I'm sorry, just gonna
okay.
say that those are also wins because they felt
Why?
something.
Yeah.
They experienced something. Do you know what I mean though? And sometimes they can't explain why, and they're gonna mull over that and try to figure that out. Because I
Mm,
feel like we spend half the time things that whether we love them or hate them, respect for the filmmaker because we know how long it takes to make something,
mm,
and respect for giving them making them feel something, whether it's hate or joy. I love
yeah.
that, and I love
Okay.
busting Western ideas of linear storytelling because I feel like we want everything in a tight little bow given to us and fed to us.
Yeah.
I love that you're like, here you go. And I'm not even gonna tell you what
Yeah.
the last lines are. You're welcome. Good
Yeah.
luck.
Yeah. And I'm not.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh, the audacity.
Yeah. Well, I think. Yeah. I mean, I hope I like that you view it as wins as well, and hopefully I'll get there eventually. But in the midst of it, it does always kind of sting to go, oh, okay, a lot of
They
people
don't
don't
get
like
it.
this. Yeah, and I suppose that is okay. But so yeah, it's a really overwhelming, mixed, strange experience, to be honest, and it's still ongoing. But this is fun. This
Thank
part
you.
of it is fun.
Yeah, you're getting to hear I think other people's interpretation of your work is kind of the one of the most interesting parts of filmmaking because
Yeah,
you know what it is in your head, but
yeah,
the movie that Teri sees and the movie that I see are not the same, even though they are the same, just because
yeah.
we're different people. So, having someone who you can touch them and have somebody else who is confused, I think that's amazing. That's what a film is, right? The worst thing about a film is if they feel nothing, right? That's
Yeah.
what you don't want. At least they're feeling confusion or anger or joy. And I feel like this is all of those things in this movie. It's so beautifully shot as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the cinematography is a big part of it. I mean, we shot, even though it was a low budget film, and hang on, it's quite noisy outside. How's that sounding?
You're fine.
It's muffled. We got it.
Zoom does the
Okay.
job of blocking out background noises
All right,
sometimes.
cool. Um, Yeah, so cinematography wise, yeah, because so much of the film is set in deep, remote nature in the UK, and I wanted to capture something kind of specifically British in its kind of like a haunt. Like the British countryside is so special and strange. It's really
Mm-hmm.
eerie and haunting and rugged and ancient feeling. So we wanted to get that on camera in the most tactile way possible to create a feeling of eeriness, but also a dirty, kind of grimy, moist movie. I
Always
wanted to make
damp.
Gotta
it's
get those
damp.
wellies.
It's
Yeah.
always, yeah. Julie and I met on a year abroad to England. We met on the
Mm.
airplane, so we spent the side and on the other side of Norwich, on the other side of the country, but we were in the countryside
Nice.
together.
Cool.
We love
Wellingtons
it.
are a
We
must.
love it. We love
Yeah.
it. We love the
Yeah.
damp.
So yeah, we really tried to capture that, and the cinematography. We did the whole thing on 35mm film, which was a struggle
Nice.
to get into the budget.
That's
But
beautiful though. That's why it looks so gorgeous.
it does look gorgeous,
Sumptuous.
doesn't it? Yeah, it is sumptuous. I think so. It has a particular look that was what we were aiming for from the very beginning, and it was just, I mean, a lot of work to get it. But
Also
I'm really
capture
happy with how it looks.
so much of that analog stuff too, between like the, I don't know, all the moss. I'm just thinking of the bogginess, like all of that,
Yeah.
like the way it looks incredible. So
Yeah. Yeah, good. You I'm glad that I found people like you who really appreciate moss and bog and dampness and mud and you
I
know.
like dirty. What can I say?
Yeah, me too. This is okay. This is, and yeah, so this is really is a movie for the kind of mossy, boggy freaks out there.
I told my friend yesterday, literally, she's like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I want to be a bog witch. That's like
Yeah,
kind of what I want to do. That's it." And she was like, I was like, "No, seriously, that is my retirement plan right now. Like, get me the
cool.
heck out of like, put me in the countryside, put me in a cottage." And then I watched this movie, and I was like,
There it is.
"There's my bog. Like,
Yeah,
hello,
it is boggy,
playground,
isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
done."
Bryn, thank you so much for talking to us today. We're so excited we got to learn a little bit more about this movie, Rabbit Trap, which comes out September 12th in theaters. Where can people find you online to say hi?
Yeah, plug
Oh,
away.
I don't really have much of an online presence, unfortunately.
Or
So
No,
fortunately.
fortunately,
Yeah.
fortunately,
congratulations.
so not really, but they'll see me when I come back with a new movie. I don't know.
Well, we're excited for the next one already.
Thank you
I
so
mean,
much.
I
Yeah,
know, yeah, can't wait to see what else is in
if
your brain.
yeah, if I get to make another one, I hope so. Let's see.
You
Fingers are
will.
crossed.
You
I
will.
want
Even
to.
if you do it on your own, Brent, I'm sure you will. You've already been creating. You already have a whole body of work behind you between music videos and all your shorts and stuff like that.
Mm.
You seem to have a curiosity and fascination. You will continue to create. I have no doubt about that, no matter what.
And we're cheering you on.
We'll see it.
Thus there's the bog witch. I take it.
Ah!
And so it shall be.
Thank you
Okay.